everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lily and I work as a guest services officer on Royal Caribbean's cruise ship. So I basically work and live at sea. However, I'm on vacation right now. If you stumbled across my video because you're curious about this job and maybe you're considering about applying it yourself, hopefully my video can answer some of your questions. So without further ado, grab yourself a coffee, get comfortable, and let's get chatting. So the very first thing I want to talk about is the whole hiring and training process. Now, unlike getting a job on land, getting a job at sea is super lengthy, and I need y'all to be aware about that. So for example, on land, you might see a job posting, you go for the job interview, you pass the interview, and then if you're lucky, they might tell you to show up the very next day. However, at sea, things don't work like that. First of all, the interview process might take multiple rounds with multiple people stationed in different headquarters across different parts of the world. So that itself could take like maybe up to 2 months. Once that is out of the way, that is only the beginning, because then you'll have to undergo the medical test, which makes sense because, let's be honest, if you have some sort of disease that is contagious and you're in an enclosed environment with 6,000, 7,000 people, you're basically a danger to everybody. So we don't want that. We need you to be in good condition to work. Once the medical tests are out of the way and you're fit for work, you'll have to go through the visa applications. Now again, your local embassy might be super busy, so you might have to wait a month or two for the visa appointments. To get a job on ship, you have to be extremely patient. I was a super impatient person before getting this job, and I think it really helped me practice this virtue. Now we move on to the training part. So before coming on board, I did my seafarer training at the school. We did fire drill, first aid, emergency, jump ship, and also crowd control. But what I didn't realize is that after we get on the ship, there's also a lot of online trainings to be done. So we have to log into RCL University, which basically feels like we're back in school. We have to do a lot of courses online. Of course, the courses doesn't take more than like 15-20 minutes, but there's constantly like new lessons being uploaded for us to review, for us to learn. So lots of new information to be constantly learning and grasping. But all in all, it makes perfect sense why there's so much trainings and drills involved, because you're not just an employee on a ship, you're part of the crew that is responsible for the safety of everybody. Okay, now let's talk about living conditions. So the best way I can describe what a crew cabin is like is, think of a college dorm. Now imagine it much smaller in size and without a window. Yeah, that's basically what a crew cabin is like. Of course, depending on your rank, you might get a whole room to yourself. But with my position, I was able to get a room with one roommate, which was still not too bad. And my experience in my first contract was also kind of unique because I had 4 roommates. Like, it was changed over time, of course. So the first roommate I had, she was newlywed. Now, in a newlywed, you want to spend all your time with your hubby, so which was really good for me because she was out of the room all the time. She was with her husband in his cabin, so I got the cabin pretty much to myself. And once they were assigned a couple's cabin and she moved out, I had a cabin to myself for a whole month because there was no female employees joining on board in my department. It felt like I just had like a single cabin. So yeah, I could put movies out loud, I could play my music while I'm cleaning the room. I had my whole private space, so it felt really good. And then the next roommate I had, well, she had different shifts with me. She was working night shift for almost 2 months and I was working the day shift. So again, our times never overlapped. We were never in the cabin at the same time because while she was sleeping, I was working. When I was sleeping, she was working. So it still felt like I had my own cabin. And the roommate I had after her was only for a week. She was also married, so she was also hopping onto her hubby's cabin all the time. Again, I got lucky there. The last roommate I had before I left, she was from a different department, but she was super nice and she was a bit older, so she felt like a aunt, almost like a mother figure. She was super understanding and I would bring her like little candies and chocolates and coffees and stuff. So it was a good roommate situation. Yeah, the roommate could really make or break your ship experience. But what the ironic thing is, like, despite how small the room was and how, inconvenient certain things were in the room, it still felt like my safe space. And it was weird because there's literally so many spots on a giant ass ship. And for some reason, I choose to spend most of my time in my cabin because it felt like the best place for me. And I'm done working a long shift. I do not want to go anywhere else except in my own bed because when you're tired, a bed is a bed, right? Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is work schedules and job expectations. Now, the number one misconceptions a lot of people have about crew members is that we're basically on vacation. And that is so not true because, girl, let me tell you, this job is tiring. If not physically, it is mentally. You are working up to 11 hours. That's the maximum. 11 hours a day for 7 days a week for 5-6 months at a time. Like my department, we're lucky because our contract is pretty small compared to other departments, because some departments are working 9 months at a time, and that's scary. But 5 months is still kind of bearable. However, work can still get tiring, especially during the holiday season. But I will say that port days are way better than sea days, because on port days, everybody is out of the ship, leaving us with some quiet and nice time by ourselves at the desk. And sometimes when there's no guests, we could get a little chatty with our colleagues, we could gossip a little bit. We could also use the computers to do a little shopping on Amazon. So yeah, those port days are really nice. Sea days, however, can get super chaotic, especially the first day and the last day of the cruise, where people have all the questions to ask on the first day and then all the payments to make on the last day. So you're basically talking to people non-stop for like 4 hours. You go take a quick nap, you come back, and again you're talking for 4 hours. So yeah, it can get really, really draining. And again, if you're lucky, everybody's understanding, you're having a good interaction with the guests. If you're not lucky though, sometimes guests will just start fighting with you for no reason. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit more fun, and that is crew parties and social life. So on a day-to-day basis, most crew members tend to go into the crew bar. The drinks are actually really affordable. It's about like a couple of dollars, maybe $6 max. I don't know. I never really had to pay for my drink because there was always people buying me drinks. So I don't know the price that well. I used to go there a lot in the first couple of months, then I kind of stopped because there is much more male crew members on board than female crew members. So there are certain nights where the entire place is just with men, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to go there. I don't want to socialize with anybody. Besides that, we do have something called the all crew party that happens every once a month. It usually has like a different theme. I remember the first one I attended was like masquerade ball theme, and then there was the beach party theme, then we had the Halloween party, and then there was a Christmas. So there's always themes that go with it, and then you can get dressed up, you can meet people, you can talk to people from different departments since it's not common to see them on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, it is pretty nice for socializing, for chatting, for getting some drinks and getting a bit of different type of feel as compared to our day-to-day life. Friendships with colleagues also form extremely fast on ship because, first of all, they're the only ones who can get your craziness of wanting to work on a ship. They know exactly what you're dealing with. They know the struggles you go through. So they literally can understand you better than your family and your friends back home when it comes to being in this environment. Secondly, you're basically spending all 24 hours together. You're working already for 8 or 9 hours a day. Then for lunch, for dinner, you guys are spending time together again. Then when you have your free time and you're at ports, you are spending time again together. So except your sleeping hours, you're literally with them all the time. Unless you date your colleagues, then you're sleeping with them also. So it really is 24 hours a day. Port and shore leaves. So one of the many reasons why people want to work on board is you're basically getting paid to travel, and that is freaking amazing. And it is, but also it isn't. You're never really given enough time to explore the ports outside. Sometimes you're given just enough time to like literally get out, maybe have a quick lunch, and then come back to continue working. Now with that being said, because the itinerary repeats itself over and over time, you do get multiple chances to visit a port, so you won't be missing out if you're not able to go out one day. I got to visit so many nice beaches, tried so many different food. Like prior to working on board, I didn't even know what ceviche was. And then it became one of my favorite cuisines of all time. So yeah, working on a ship can really introduce you to a lot of new experiences. Okay, let's change the tone a little bit. Let's talk about dramas, and relationships. So, of course, as you can imagine, when you're at sea for multiple months, you're stuck with this many people, there's going to be some romances brewing here and there. I think I got into my first thing like second month on board. Like, it's so funny because before working on a ship, I remember telling my friends back home and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get into anything. I had imagined everybody on ship is just going to be like middle-aged marine guys, you know, the engineers and maintenance, and like everybody's 40 plus. Everybody could literally be my dad or grandpa. So I was like, I'm not gonna be falling for anybody. I'm not gonna be having any crushes. I'm going to be celibate for 5 months. I'm not gonna get involved in anything. And I was so wrong because literally the second crew party, and I was like, there's like a couple cuties here. So of course, it's a very international environment. You're going to end up having a crush on someone. You're going to be dating somebody. And there is a lot of dramas because some people have relationships, marriages back home. And some, of course, are in open relationships. Some say they're in open relationships, but they're not. Some don't say they're in open relationships at all. Some don't even say they're in relationships at all. So there is like multiple layers. But I was lucky that I got involved with some really nice people. And I had really great romance on ship. And even though things didn't work out the way with anyone, the way I would have wanted it to, it was still a beautiful memory nonetheless, and I wish for all my crushes to have a good next contract. So as I mentioned earlier, the male to female ratio on board is just not equal. I think like for every woman there's like 10 men out there. I don't know about the exact numbers, but that also means the demand for women is way higher. So if you're a girl on ship, there's going to be 20 guys going after you. So you have to be very selective with who you choose to surround yourself with, who you'd like to be involved with, and you have to really make sure that they're a good person. Okay, now let me share my best and worst moment with you guys. Best memory I had from my first contract was definitely during the crossing, where there was 3 days with no guests on board. It was just crew members and crew members only, and it was so much fun. We got to enjoy a lot of facilities that only guests get to enjoy, and although we still had to work a bit, it was the closest thing we got to an off day. Now, in terms of worst memories, I guess it'll have to be every single time I screwed up at work. And obviously as a new hire, boy did I screw up a lot. And the good thing is that, you know, everybody's super friendly. All my colleagues are super nice. They're always able to help me out and like, Lily, what are you doing? Like, this is how you're supposed to be doing it. What is wrong with you? They'll give me the lecture, but then they'll try to help me fix my problems. So it's really nice. But hopefully, fingers crossed, in my second contract, I will be more experienced and I will minimize my mistakes so I can stop giving myself that stress. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to put a question out for myself actually, and that is, would I do this all over again? This is a question I've been debating for the past week actually, and I wasn't sure at first. However, a few days back, I got my letter of employment, which shows where I'm going to be for my next contract. And the itinerary is completely different ship, completely different vibe. This one that I'm assigned to is way smaller than the previous one and way older as well. I saw the itinerary and I was like, okay, like it could be better, but it could be worse. And those are places I've never been still. So, you know, when you've never been somewhere, it's always exciting. Yeah, to answer the question, yes, I would do this all over again. And yes, I already accepted my assignment. So I will be going back to ship next month on March 14th. And from there, I'll be starting my new adventure. I'm hoping that because this class of ship is smaller, meaning lesser people, meaning hopefully not as tiring, that I will have time to update you guys on the ship as well. But if not, then you know, you'll just have to wait for my wrap-up video at the end of my contract. So for anyone considering to work on a ship, my biggest piece of advice to you is know what you're signing up for. Yes, it is an adventure, but it is also a job. And in my honest opinion, I do think working on a ship is more fit for people who don't have strong ties to things. So if you're not strong rooted to your home country, if you're somebody who's already been working abroad, who's been traveling a lot, maybe you're not too close to your parents, not too close to your family, if you don't have like a significant other, or maybe kids waiting for you back at home, then yes, it is something you can definitely try. However, if you are close to your family, your kids, your country, then it might not be the wisest decision, but of course you can try it for one contract and it could help you decide if this is really the route you want to go in. But that is my opinions and that is my experience. If you're a seafarer also watching this video, then do leave your experience down below. Hopefully it can help somebody else. or if you're considering working on a ship. Did my video answer your questions? Let me know and I'll see you guys in my next video. I have a lot of travels planned for next month.